Well, good afternoon and welcome to Orchids. And I wasn't really going to do a video today. I didn't know what to do until I got a comment last night from a lady named Anita, who said, how are your paphiopedilums going on in the Phrag pots, you know, the deep black pots. So I thought, oh, that's a good idea. I haven't talked about paphiopedilums for a long time, because I've been getting rid of my stock of paphiopedilums and putting other plants in, like the cattleyas and masdevallias. But we'll just talk about this paphiopedilum philippinense. Well, surprisingly, these aren't fussy plants as regards the medium they're growing. They'll grow in a mixture of all different sorts of medium, and this one is in bark, and there's some perlite, there's probably some growth stones further down. But and you can also put some, which will be beneficial, some chopped up sphagnum moss, but not too much, and that's just to keep it a little damp, because they don't like to dry out completely. And they're not really fussy whether you grow them in a greenhouse in intermediate conditions or you grow them in the home. They like the same virtual conditions as we humans like, but they do like it a little bit more humid. As usual with orchids, and especially paphs, light plays a big part in their cultivation. And I think in the hemisphere where they do live in the wild, they'll get plenty of light, so they're very free flowering. Now in the home or in the greenhouse, come winter, then they'll not be getting enough light, because they need a good amount of light, at least 10, 11, 12 hours a day of light to help in the cultivation. You know, if you get leaves which are pale, they're receiving too much light, whilst dark leaves tell you they're not getting enough light. If you find that your leaves are a nice bright colour, then and the leaves are nice and erect like this, then you're giving them quite an amount of light, and just leave them where they are, and don't change the light, just leave them. If you're getting yellow leaves on them, then that can be too much watering. Now, if you can't provide them with the amount of light they require, then they'll tolerate being under artificial light. The one thing about artificial light is that you've got to be very, very careful that the lights you're using are not giving out too much heat. Because if they give out too much heat, they warm the leaves, the plants will stop growing. Now, as regards watering, they like to live in a moist medium, which is never totally wet or soggy. If they're like that, if they're wet and soggy, it will rot the roots, especially if there's also a lack of oxygen with them, and the plant will live longer drier than it will wet. So too much wetness, as I say, can close yellow leaves. They don't need much fertiliser because they're not very heavy feeders. Right, to see how they're going on in these Phrag pots, as I call them, we'll just have a look at it. I said yesterday that I weren't going to repot anything, but I can't let a subscriber down, and somebody who asks a question, it must be answered. So it'll not do the plant any harm at all. So don't worry about that. And this has been on the drip system, but it hasn't been on for the last 3 weeks. So I don't know what I'm going to find in here. Time will tell. See a little bit of new root growth here right at the top, so that's a good sign. Let's take it out and have a proper look at it. Well, as you can see, it's very, very damp. There is growth stones in, there's spiders in, there's one or two, what do you call them, wood lice. Oh dear, look at them. Anyhow, let's have a look at the roots. The spiders are okay, the wood lice only eat decaying wood, so they'll not touch the roots. Just have a look at the roots. They're all hard. It's a funny thing about these paphiopedilums though. They can be very, very big plants, and you can take them out of the pots, you can look at them, and there's no new growing tips on. The plants are doing fantastic, and the roots are very, very dark. Now I've just got a couple of soft roots here, so I'll just cut them off. That's hard with a soft tip on, so we'll just cut it back to the green, which is there. That's very similar, so we'll just do that one as well. And that one. You only need the end clipping off. Now there's a bad one. That's bad from there to feel down here to there. And it's hard as iron there, so what we'll do, we'll cut it there. There we are, and we'll get rid of that. And just go a touch further, I think. Yep, that's better. That's better. That leaves it nice and green there. See, there's a lot of these things that just need the ends of the roots cutting off. There's one soft one, so we'll have that one off. I hope you can see what's going on. Now when we look down here, right at the base of the plant, these roots are growing very, very nicely. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new growths in the lower half of the root system. And there's 1, 2, 3 new growths almost at the base of the plant. So it's not doing too badly at all. I think it's about time, coming winter, I gave it a little drying out period and then start putting it on the drip system again next spring. So what we'll do now, we'll get this one potted back up because it's doing fine. We'll pot it up, bugs and all. You probably notice that one thing that I never do is sterilise anything. I never have done, and I don't intend doing. Right, we'll put the same medium in. They just touch the bottom, yep, like that, and then just fill it up again. And it all came out, so it must all roll back in. Come on, spider, move yourself. It won't. It wants to stay in, I think. spider and all. Just give it a good patting to make sure that all the gaps are full. This medium is quite wet. Well, the bottom part of it's quite wet, and as you come up to the top it's a little bit drier, which is normal. Well, I said I'd get it all in, I've got it all back, but I need a little bit more bark in there. Right, so I'll just get a little bit more bark and fill it up. Right, a little bit more bark, not much, just to make sure that the green part of the leaves where it meets the stalk at the bottom is just underneath, like that. So that's that one. We have another one, so we might as well have a look at that one as well. Now this is another Philippinense. Yep, another Philippinense, and we'll have a look at this one. If it's as good as the last one, I'll be quite happy, and it looks okay because of the new growth there in the middle. But I'm not unpotting these because I want to do. I'm just unpotting these just to show the people who watch my videos what's happening to them. This is one mass of roots. Just a few growing tips on it. Can't find anything soft. Which is unusual for a plant to have this many roots on, and I can't find anything soft. I tell a lie, I've just got one there. So we'll have that one off. Some people just pull the velamen off and leave the actual roots sticking out, but I like to take the lot off. Just me, that's all. And I think that's all there is. All these roots feel nice and damp. There's, as you see, it's two growths there. I don't know whether you can see another little growth coming up there, and another one here at the front. So that's doing very, very nicely. I mean, all these are divisions of big plants I used to have, which I've let go, and I've just kept the smaller ones. So these are doing very nicely. So we'll just put this one back up, and we're quite happy how things are going up to now. Very nice too. Yeah, these aren't these aren't heavy feeding plants, so I'm going to feed these exactly like I feed the Phragmopediums in these pots, and that's the fish blood and bone I'm going to give them, just to see how they happen. You know, it's not really an experiment, because fish blood and bone is good stuff. And I quite like using it, especially on the frags, but I've also been using on my other plants, the Masdevallias and Cattleyas and stuff like that, I've been using rain mix. So I'll continue to do that with them, and everything seems to be going okay, so I'll not change much. Right, well, this hasn't all gone back in yet, but more tapping and it'll go down. Yep. Should do nicely now. Yep, that'll do lovely. So I'll put that label back in. And that's the second one. Now here we have a Lady Isabel, a cross between Rothschildianum and Stony Eye. And this has been in here in one of the deep pots, so we'll see how that one's getting on. And I've just noticed there, it's I'll just take the camera and have a quick look. It's just starting to spike. At first I thought that was one of those brown wet leaves you have coming up. Oh, but there's plenty of colour in that one. So that's definitely a spike. But it'll not do it anyhow. I'm just taking it out of its pot and having a good look at it. If I can get this back on the... that's it. Just have a quick look at this one, and we'll call that a day with these deep black pots. I'll take the label out. Come on. And now this hasn't got as big a root system as the others, but plenty of nice new growths on them. And I think I'll just get the camera just to show them to you. And just shows you what will happen to these big brown roots that they get. Well, that's a real soft one there, so we'll have that one off. Yep. Just get the camera and show you these new growths. That leaf could do with a good wipe. There's a new growth there coming up. But look at the roots. Lovely. You notice these dark brown roots, like I say. If you get right to the end of one, there's a new growth coming out of it. So that's doing fine. That one's sticking out at that side for some reason. Some more around the back there, so that's okay. And we've got the usual little spider there. So we'll get this potted up now, and we'll call that a day, and we'll say that the Phragmopedium pots are doing fine with the paphiopedilums. And they're also doing fine on the drip system. Which, don't ask me why that happens, because you're not supposed to keep these very wet. But the drip system does keep them wet, and they're enjoying it. Maybe there's something in water culture after all. Well, there's the Lady Isabel all potted up again. Won't come to any harm. The spike on it, it'll be fine. So thanks very much for watching. I hope it's helped somebody, and until next time, I would like to thank all my subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, I would appreciate it if you did so, and until next time, I'll see you all later. Bye.